So what I'll do and this was a very great introduction into, or lead into what I want to talk about is really the practicalities then and the reality of what kind of ocean economic activity is taking place, and give you a sense of how a global ocean business community and leadership alliance on ocean economic development and sustainability and science has been coming together through the World Ocean Council that I represent, and some specific ideas, thoughts about opportunities to engage industry more in working with the science community, and science in a very broad sense of natural science, social science, economics, etc. So the World Ocean Council, and thinking about ocean ecosystems and as I say, the relationship with science and industry. Let's see if we can advance here. Here we go. Okay, got it. Thanks. Sorry. Right. Okay. Well, I'll skip through this early part very quickly and to move us along here. And we've just had a very good scene setting in terms of the size and diversity of the ocean and the kinds of uses that are going on. And it's not about what's going on in the future. It's about what's going on now with the existing and, as was mentioned, the emerging kinds of industrial activity and economic use, and also even with the long-standing older industries, so to speak, that there's increasing intensity, duration, geographic scope of many of these industries, and as was mentioned, the Arctic, for example, with the level of activity going there is just one example of how industries are expanding in their scope and duration. And what we work to do in the World Ocean Council is work to create this kind of interaction between the different ocean industries that was just alluded to, and get different sectors to think about not only their world ocean view, but that of the collective use of the ocean, if you think about overlaying these and all those other industries, and creating a way for the different sectors to interact with each other, and also to understand in their interface with that global marine ecosystem, and really working to have industries understand it. They are operating in a single global connected up marine ecosystem with many other industry sectors, and that the cumulative collective effect of that is a global ecosystem that is exhibiting effects from that cumulative human use to one level or another. And I speak a lot at industry events, and I always show this map to help people understand this is what governments, the science community, and other ocean stakeholders see as and what's driving the concern for the future of the ocean. So this all creates a challenge for the diverse ocean industry, the ocean business community, as we call it, in that there are all these impacts. There are companies, many good people and good companies that understand that their activities have this ocean footprint, and there are a lot of people working hard to understand and address that. But the best efforts by the best company will not be able to address the future challenges of the ocean. It requires multiple companies and multiple industries working together because of the dynamic, interconnected nature of the ocean. And the problem had been, even though there are business benefits to that collaboration, there had been no structure, no process to bring together the different ocean industries. And that's what led a group of companies that is continuing to grow now to form the World Ocean Council. And so this is a business leadership alliance that brings together leading companies from the different sectors: shipping, fishing, oil and gas, offshore renewables, etc., the surrounding supporting ecosystem of companies, shipbuilding, marine fuels, marine technology, etc., to work together with this shared goal that you can see on the screen. I won't go into the details here. All this is available. We have it's a membership organization at the core, but we have this hugely growing global business community focused on these common opportunities and challenges. And as I say, there are business drivers for bringing people together in terms of synergies and economies of scale, ensuring that there's stability and predictability in the undertaking business activities and economic activity in the ocean. So we have, when I say leadership companies, we have this growing this growing alliance, and it's not about how big the company is, it's leadership in the sense of having a commitment to working with other industries, to working towards a more responsible use of the ocean and engaging with other stakeholders in that process. And so all of this is available online, just to give you an example of how this is growing. But what I mainly wanted to focus on was what kind of priorities this growing ocean business community is focused on, and how that relates to the role of the science and research community in addressing these challenges and opportunities for collaboration. And this is to give you, and I'll go into these in a little bit of detail and through these different areas very quickly, but and off on the bottom of the screen that you can't quite see is a new effort I'll mention regarding engaging investment in ocean sustainable development. So to give you a quick sense of the kinds of things that the progressive, engaged global business community, ocean business community is working together through the World Ocean Council on. One of the areas is ocean policy and governance, creating a more coordinated presence where there had often been none in the past in things like the Law of the Sea process, particularly the biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction that is going on now, the Convention on Biological Diversity, and I'll mention later the Sustainable Development Goals in more detail. And so we've been creating, the World Ocean Council has been creating a way for the business community to get involved, particularly this year, next year, and for leading up to this year, the process of deciding and now working towards a new binding legal agreement on biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And so part of the lens to think about this is the role of science in understanding what the support for developing governance in the oceans. What kind of information do we need to have good governance that relates economic activities to ecosystem impact and management? So things like area-based management and environmental impact assessment. For the international waters and the biodiversity therein, we need good science. We need good risk assessment to enable as the underpinnings of good governance. As many of you may know, through the Convention on Biological Diversity, and now linked to this BB&J process at the Law of the Sea, part of the focus is on ecologically and biologically significant areas. A lot of scientists have gotten together in different regional workshops to determine these areas. And these are the underpinnings for a regime of global ocean management. But the politics and the momentum can get out ahead of the science. So, for example, some of these areas are already being developed as management regimes, and different industries are being indicated as a problem, but we don't actually have the risk assessment to really indicate what exactly is the story there. And so industry needs to be a partner. If we're going to manage the oceans for sustainable development, industry needs to be there as a partner, not considered the problem. And certainly to implement solutions to the impacts on ocean ecosystems, industry in the ocean system in particular needs to be there implementing solutions. And it's a partnership between science, industry, government, and other ocean stakeholders to make that happen. Let me just move on through this to give you a flavor of some of the other areas where, again, industry needs to be and is working to become engaged. We need good science and good data and good understanding of activities and their impacts to develop then things like marine spatial planning, which has been mentioned also today a few times. And so we're working to help ensure that the business community is well informed and engaged in marine spatial planning where it develops, and likewise ensure that governments and other ocean stakeholders are more clear and aware of the role, the critical role of industry in being a part of the future of managing ocean spaces. And I think some of you may have seen this great illustration when the data does come together, particularly in nearshore waters in congested part of the world. It's a busy ocean out there. And we need good objective science about what's going on, what are the impacts, how do we manage this kind of complexity that allows responsible economic activity to take place and yet also addresses the the ecological and ecosystem management concerns that we all have. So as I say, we're working to engage the business community in that and with other ocean stakeholders moving forward. Some of the more specific kinds of impacts or challenges that are cross-cutting and multi-industry in nature, which is really the context in which the World Ocean Council works, are more technical, sort of operational issues that we're creating working groups around. Things like port reception facilities, the issue of marine sound, biofouling and invasives, and we're continuing to bring the science community more in contact with the business community to work on this. I'll jump ahead and just move quickly through things, also to give you a sense that this work to engage the business community is also being articulated at a regional scale. For example, we created the first ever Arctic business leadership group going back a number of years, and the first ever business dialogue with the Arctic Council, which is the intergovernmental body responsible for the Arctic. We have other parts of the world, as you can see there, listed where there's interest in creating a more regional scale business interaction to partner with intergovernmental efforts on the kinds of issues, depending on the region, maybe more pollution-oriented or maybe dealing with accidents or maritime security. And so really developing those as there's an interest and a priority in those regions. One of the things I wanted to focus on in particular was the what we call smart ocean, smart industries. And this is the role of what's often known as ships of opportunity, using industry vessels, and not just big merchant ships, but the fishing boats, etc., as the fixed and mobile infrastructure from which you can collect data from the ocean. So particularly important in less well-documented areas like the Indian Ocean, particularly in the high seas, and the opportunity, as you see here, to establish a program that expands the number of vessels and platforms of different sorts involved in hosting instrumentation or science to collect data, and really creating a way to engage the opportunities that ships, there's 50 to, and this is probably a low estimate, 80,000 merchant vessels, the estimated 1.3 million fishing vessels, tens of thousands of oil rigs. All of these and many, many companies want to participate in this kind of data gathering and sharing opportunity. And there's been a need for a system to make it easy for companies to get involved in data collection by linking them with the technology, basically brokering the relationship, creating this kind of program that brokers the relationship with the science community, as you can see here, that identifies and recruits companies that have the infrastructure, that have the vessels, are interested in helping document and share data on the status of ocean conditions, or collecting climate and weather information from the 71% of the planet that is ocean. These are the companies that have the vessels and the platforms that could be supporting, assisting science by providing the way to collect data in those areas. So we have this moving forward on a sort of project level basis. As you can see at the bottom there, we're developing pilot projects around different themes or different geographic areas, depending on where the interest and the opportunities are, and I can certainly provide more specific examples of this if there's interest. I will wrap up just by covering two very big topics, but very quickly. One is, and to really get those of you in the science community that I think is the majority of the audience here from the various disciplines, thinking about how the Sustainable Development Goals and ocean economic development go together, and the opportunities to engage with industry. These are the SDGs. In yellow are some of the ones that are most relevant to ocean economic development in one way or another. And then, of course, there's SDG 14 about the ocean specifically, and it has a series of specific targets regarding pollution, managing ecosystems, conservation and protection, ocean acidification, and then quite a bit on fishery issues as SDG targets, and also small island states. And these have been developed by the international community. The business community was reasonably well engaged in general in the SDGs. The World Ocean Council was pretty much the only organization that was there to help make sure the ocean business community had input. And what we're doing now to move forward with this is as you can see here, developing, really asking the questions, well, what do these SDGs mean to ocean industries? We have companies that want to be progressive, they want to be engaged, they want to be part of solutions. They're saying, well, what do these big, broad goals mean to me as a shipping company? And so we're working with them to create SDG targets and indicators that are implementable, practical, but meaningful, that contribute to those big, broad goals that have been set by the international community. So we've done an analysis of the SDGs for the ocean business community, and now working to develop those more specific ocean industry targets and indicators as a way to kind of link these high-level goals and the very specific targets, but that are developed by the international community to really practical, business-oriented targets, and kind of build those connections at that level to engage the business community. And let me lastly mention very exciting work we have going on now that's after several years of building relationships with the investment and finance community, really helping. We've had investors now coming to the World Ocean Council saying, look, we're hearing all about ocean economy, blue economy, this and that. You know, what is this economy? Who are these sectors? What are the issues with regard to sustainable development? And importantly, the key question, and what are the investment opportunities? And so we're bringing together, which we already do, these leadership companies, as I've mentioned, and also the entrepreneurs, the innovators that are providing solutions, often in the technology realm, with now the key third party, the investment community, to really catalyze a way for these three sets of players to work together, with us, the interest in the World Ocean Council, and as serving as kind of a forum or a independent third party that knows the industry, knows the sustainability issues, knows the technology providers and solution providers, and really facilitate identifying investment opportunities, evaluating investment opportunities, and creating the economies of scale so that we have solutions to, say, work on biofouling and invasive species addressed with good science supporting it and good technology solutions at a global scale, and not just regionally or nationally. So this is moving forward very rapidly, and to provide these kind of services. And one of the places where all this comes together is where the ocean business community meets on sustainability and science and stewardship is the Sustainable Ocean Summit, which has now become an annual event, with the next one taking place here in Europe. Last year was in Singapore, in Rotterdam, as you can see. And these we certainly encourage the science community to get involved, and it really is where the business community meets to work on these issues and work with other stakeholders on these challenges and opportunities for ocean sustainable development. So I'll stop there and really appreciate the opportunity, and happy to engage with you now and during the coming days. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul.